My name is Kendra Nelson. I am the London First Year Experience Program Manager in Skidmore's off-campus Study and Exchanges Office, otherwise known as the Study Abroad Office. I've been at Skidmore for more than 15 years and have been working on this program for almost the whole time. So it holds a very special place in my heart, and I've got to work with many, many students, all of which the panel tonight. So very happy to be here, and I'll turn it over to Gabby to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gabby Viome. I'm one of the assistant directors in the admissions office. I'm sure I've been emailing with a bunch of you that are on this call this evening with your London questions. But I want to echo Kendra's congratulations on your acceptance to Skidmore and to the London FYE program. I probably looked at all your applications, and I just want to again say a big congrats. So while I'm kind of doing my introduction, I also just wanted to mention, big question that I've been getting a lot recently is just where we're at currently with enrollment for the London program. I just checked 5 minutes ago. We are currently at 25 total enrollment or registries for the London program out of those 36 spots available. So we do have 11 spots remaining. I have a feeling the program will start filling quicker, probably mid to late April, after we have like our admitted student days. If you want to keep in touch with me kind of throughout the month of April, just to kind of see where we're at with enrollment for London, please feel free to keep in touch with me. My email is right on the screen, so you can kind of reach out whenever you'd like. Okay.
All right, then I'm going to turn it over to the panelists. So if each of you can introduce yourself, and Sadie, I'm going to have you go first.
Yeah, hi, my name's Sadie. I'm a senior here at Skidmore. I'm a political science, environmental studies double major, and I live in Montana.
I'll go next. I'm Len. I use they, she pronouns. I'm a sophomore here at Skidmore, and I'm from Southern California. Is that everything? Oh, I'm also majoring in sociology and minoring in business.
Hey, I'm Esme. I'm a sophomore, she, her pronouns. I'm a biology pre-vet student with a minor in honors forum, and I'm from Costa Rica.
Hi, I'm Izzy. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Granville, Ohio, and I am an art history major, and I'm also on the rowing team.
Hi, I'm Kamari. I'm a freshman and I am majoring in psychology and pre-nursing with a minor in Spanish, and I'm also from LA.
Great. Thank you, panelists. So again, we have a lot of expertise here tonight. So students that were in London last semester, last year, and then Sadie, who's a senior, so was in London back in fall 21. So definitely make sure you ask the questions that you want to hear tonight. So just to kind of get started about the background and the history of the program. So this coming fall, so fall 25 will be the 24th year of this program. So this is a very experienced, long-standing program. I think we've had more than 800 students throughout those 24 years on the program. So it really has touched a lot of different students, class years, and it has changed over time. But I still think, the core of the program is pretty much the same. We have a really strong partnership with our organization in London called CEA Kappa. So CEA Kappa basically helps us run our program in London. So even though it's kind of structured and designed through Skidmore, CEA Kappa is a study abroad company with more than 22 locations across the world. So they run study abroad programs all around the globe. And then in London, they have their own program center, and that program center really becomes a home away from home for our students. It's where they take classes. It's where they meet with faculty, with the other staff. They can meet with other study abroad students. The program center is great location in Kensington, so right in the heart of the city. So students can get easy access from the tube, the metro around London, and really kind of be in a fantastic neighborhood and kind of while they're taking classes during the week. Also, just kind of keep in mind there's a lot of support for this program. So next semester, when students are in London, they basically have a cast of thousands supporting them. So not only do they have that CEA Kappa staff in London, but they'll have 2 Skidmore faculty that go with the program and teach a Scribner seminar and do advising and mentorship throughout the fall semester. There'll be a program assistant, which is usually a student that has just graduated or will be graduating in May this year, that will go and live with the students in the residence hall. So kind of provides some of that RA support, but also does a lot of programming, a lot of advising, a lot of just kind of any kind of question that you might have. So it really becomes a corner piece of the program too. Sometimes it's a former London student, sometimes it's not. So it always changes year to year. And then on the US side, there's also a lot of support, not only from the whole campus, but especially from my office, off-campus study and exchanges, the admissions office, as well as the first year experience office. So there's a lot of support, like even pre-departure and when you get there, and then also when you come back to campus. So now I want to turn it over to the panelists, and I want to hear a little bit more about why they chose to go to London. So every student that goes to London kind of has different expectations, different ideas for why it makes the most sense for them. And it's not the right choice for every student. So, if we have a class, it is only that 36 students of our first year class that are going to be in London. But it does really kind of set the tone for your time at Skidmore, really kind of sets that foundational experience. So panelists, I would like to turn it over to you. And Esme, do you want to get started and explain why you chose to go to London?
Sure. So why I chose to go to London, I think first of all because it's like a unique experience. I remember when I was applying for colleges, like the London FYE experience that offers Skidmore was something that really, catch my attention. I was like, that's really cool to do, especially because I love traveling and like I lived in Singapore before, and something like living abroad really like something that I like. So having like my first semester at Skidmore being in London was like such a cool experience, and I glad I did, honestly. I know some people feel like they're gonna fall behind with like their major or something, but I don't think that's true. I think having like experience in like London really like gets you to meet new people, especially like the group of friends that I still have at Skidmore are the same group of friends that I have in London. And like I think, I don't know, it's a great experience. It actually gets you out of your comfort zone. It's like somewhere really different. Probably was my first time going to Europe, for example. So I think it's such a great experience to get you out of your comfort zone and like meet new places, new people. And yeah, and then you will go to Skidmore, so you have like an extra bonus of like experiencing new things and like get to know more people and more experience and more stuff.
All right, Kamari.
I chose studying abroad in London because I have never been outside of the country before that experience. So I've always wanted to go to London, and so this was the perfect opportunity to take advantage of it, and I don't regret it at all.
Izzy?
So I studied abroad in high school. I did a year in France, and when I learned that it was possible to study abroad, my first semester of college, that was an idea that was really attractive to me, and I was really excited about it. I also love to travel, and I like the idea of working really closely with 2 Skidmore faculty and getting to know them really, really well, and then having that support when you come back to campus. And I was just excited about being in London and living in a new city. So I loved my experience and I don't regret it at all.
Great. Sadie?
Yeah, I actually funnily forgot that I had applied to London when I then got in. So I did it on the Common App and then completely forgot until I got my admissions letter, and then my mom was the one who was like, "Did you read this?" And I was like, "No." She was like, "You could go to London." And I was like, "Wait, really?" And then I did. And so I think what really not in the initial deciding to want to go, which I seemingly forgot about, but what actually drew me there was a lot of the things that Esme was mentioning of having the opportunity to study abroad my first semester was really interesting to me, and something that really drew me as a unique aspect of Skidmore. I never really lived in a big city before, and so I feel like I was really nervous about the potential of that, but London felt because it was a very different culture, but one that I still understood the language and I still would felt comfortable existing in. I was really excited to do that. And I also now as a senior, my closest friends are still the closest friends I made in London. So it really has changed the trajectory of my Skidmore path.
Great. And last but not least, Len?
Yeah, going off of that, I definitely feel like that I still have that big London friend group too. And what made me kind of decide London was initially kind of in some ways the fear, because I had never traveled outside of the country, similar to Kamari, and I'd never operated in a big city. I'd never used public transportation before, and I was like, oh my goodness, this would be so many new experiences at once. And that, of course, scared me a little bit. But then one of my friends was like, hey, if you don't take advantage of this opportunity, you're always going to regret it and think what could I have done? And so if those exciting new experiences are your thing and they excite you, then London is definitely the decision for you, because you make lasting friendships and you grow a lot as a person.
Great. Thanks, everybody. And I think this just gives you an example that everybody's going to have that different reasons for choosing London. So whether you're looking for that unique way to start your time at Skidmore, you want to, kind of have a smaller, close-knit friend group right away, get connections with faculty, or just kind of experience that new city and travel. There's a lot of great reasons to choose London. With that said, I hope that one of the reasons that you are thinking about London is the academics. This is a study abroad program. So study really is a huge component of what you're going to be doing. And compared to campus, it is a lot smaller of a list of courses. It's only a couple courses that you get to choose from. So that is going to be a big distinction. But almost every course that we do offer in London really uses London as a classroom. So you really do get out of the city. So whether that's, visiting a museum or an exhibit, a library, or some other kind of NGO or company with your class, you do kind of get that hands-on experience with almost all the classes except for calculus. That one's mostly in the classroom. But in general, this is kind of the general enrollment. Everyone's going to be taking 16 credits, which is 4 courses. So it's one Scribner seminar, which is the same type of seminar that you take on campus. And then you choose 3 additional courses from the CEA Kappa classes. And everything is worth 4 credits each. There are descriptions of all the classes on the website, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we're going. But I was wondering at the panel, if I could have 1 or 2 people maybe describe a kind of one of those class field trips that you did that was memorable. Izzy?
So Kamari and I were in the same, so Kamari was in my London group, and we were in the same Scribner seminar, and for both of the Scribner seminars, our finals were walking tours. So we were given one of the old rivers of London. There are several that are now buried that all fed into the Thames, and we were all assigned, each group was assigned one. And then you worked and you walked the whole river, what is now today above ground. And then you did the research, and then you planned like an hour long walking tour of your river. And that was one of my favorite like excursions that was also academic, that I also got to go to all of the other walking tours. So it was really cool to see new areas of London that I hadn't seen yet, while also getting to plan my own walking tour and learning. Like mine was in Mayfair, mine was the Tyburn River, so I learned a lot about that area, and it was really specific and really cool. So that's my tidbit.
And Esme?
Yes, so Len and I, we were in the same theater class. We have such an amazing professor, and we went almost every single class, I think. Um, like the class that we spent in classroom in CA Kappa were super exciting as well. Like I think mostly because of the professor. But the times that we went out, which as I said, most of the time we went to see theater plays, which was amazing. We actually went to the Shakespeare Theater um, near the 10, and it was amazing. We went to see other theater plays, um, and we have like this kind of dynamic interaction all the time. And at the same time, like since our professor was with there, we were like, he was like, "Oh, it wasn't that amazing," and like telling like all the things that we talk in class after the theater show ended, and like I think those were my favorite like memories, especially like going at night and like to see the theater play. Yeah, I think those were kind of amazing ways to learn, because after every like theater play that we watched, then we came back to class like maybe the next day and discussed what was our favorite things and how we connected to class. So it was a better way to see things like in a place rather than just in the classroom. And same with like my sustainability class. Um, also with Len. Len, you were with me, right? Yes, we were. Our professor was also great, and we went to different like field studies. So definitely that's something that I really liked of like London FYE.
Yeah, the field trips I think are definitely a highlight. It's what makes the courses and the program really unique. And it's also one of the things that the faculty, the Skidmore faculty that go with the program really love doing. They love using those London resources to explore their topics and really get to give students that hands-on experience with those seminars. So just to kind of give you an idea of the two Skidmore faculty members that are going to London next fall and their seminars. So Professor Hauser from the Art History Department. And oh, I have a typo on here. I didn't change that. It's not Professor Scott Mulligan. It's Professor Karen Kellogg. Don't tell her I have that wrong in there. But Karen's from the Environmental Studies and Sciences department. So, it's a really great combination to have two faculty from varying disciplines. Both of them are hard at work planning their seminars, planning those field-based out-of-class excursions. But just to give you a quick overview, Professor Hauser's seminar is called Designing London. And so it is kind of this chronological investigation of design in London. And even though Professor Hauser is bringing that art history kind of background, they are like Scribner seminars are designed to be interdisciplinary. So she's really going to be looking at design, but through, a lens, particularly like looking at social class and kind of how that has impacted design throughout the past few centuries, as well as into the future. And then Professor Kellogg, her seminar is From Big Smoke to the Green City, London's Role in Global Environmental Action. So this seminar is really looking at London's kind of complicated history in environmental issues, and then kind of how they've moved to become kind of a model of sustainability. So really, again, using that interdisciplinary focus to look at environmental issues, but through a lens of like historical, cultural, political issues. So really interesting. Like I said, both of them are beyond excited to be going to London next fall. Professor Hauser has taught in London before, and Professor Kellogg, it's her first time going to London with the first year experience program. So hopefully that just gives you a little bit of information to get excited. The full descriptions are on the website. And then in addition, these are the tentative course options for those other classes that we offer. We call them CA Kappa classes. They're taught by local faculty. The other students in your classes will still just be Skidmore students. Right now, we're planning to offer 7 of these classes. There's 9 listed on here. We expect to finalize the course list probably mid to late April. But this can kind of give you an idea of what the kinds of classes we're hoping to offer. And the class list does change a little bit each semester, but this should hopefully gives you kind of a heads up on that. I was wondering if I could have the panel, if anybody wanted to share their favorite class and why, so maybe have 2 or 3 students jump in with that. Kamari?
My favorite class was Writing the City London with the Jed Pope. It took my art requirement out the way, and I don't like art. It's creative writing, which I do enjoy, and Jed Pope is just a great teacher. He's so relatable. He's very funny. He keeps the class very entertaining, so I highly recommend.
I definitely have to say that a lot of what made the like academic experience with CEA Kappa is their amazing faculty. Like, I don't think there's a single CEA Kappa professor that is not also just very interesting. And a lot of them just feel honestly so maybe even overqualified for their position. Like, I remember I took modern art in London, and my professor, Ed, he is like a curator, like a private curator for these like um massive like art collectors and stuff. And one time we were taking a field trip down in like Mayfair area through these different like private galleries that he just like got us access to somehow. And he was like, wait guys, I need you guys to all stand around this corner while I walk across the street and close this deal with this guy because he's been avoiding me for the past week and isn't responding to my emails. So we all huddle in a group across the street. He goes, talks to this guy, closes this deal, and sells a piece of art just like in the middle of class. And it was just really cool because like that's what we had been learning about, is like navigating the art world like that. And it was just really cool seeing it in action like that. So
Sadie, do you want to share too?
I'm happy to. I think many of my courses were different than are offered now, but the sentiments remain the same. My favorite course that I took was called History of London. And the best part about that course was every other week, instead of having our lecture, we took like a 2.5 to 3 hour walking tour of like the era we were in. So we started the first one, we like all met at the Tower of London and we like kind of worked our way historically forwards. So we started like at the Roman wall to be like, these were the first like marking that we still have of people in London. And then like eventually we like walked around the tower and then we like continued walking like a couple miles, like just, and then he would like drop us off at a random tube stop and be like, have a great night, get home safe. And we'd all like take the tube back together wherever we ended up. And none of us really knew the path we took or where we went, but we spent like the whole time like talking about history and like noting different historical landmarks, but also just being like, these are the cobblestones. What's the history of cobblestone? Why can we like, why is the river covered now? And what was it like 300 years later when the river was open? How would that change like what you're hearing and seeing and smelling? So it was a really like awesome interactive way to like imagine yourself in a location, but like in different time periods.
It sounds like you would have liked Izzy's favorite class excursion too. So Izzy, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I don't know, like it would have been helpful to me when I was in sitting in this webinar last year to have heard this. I took London museums with our professor's name was Gnome, and I believe that she's doing it again this year. She's amazing. That was my favorite class. She's so smart. She's so excited about her classes. Like she loves taking you to the museums and she'll just walk around with you. I loved her class and I love her. Like one of my favorite art historians was speaking in London And there was another one of my classmates that really likes her too. Um, and her name is Katie Hessel. And we asked Noam if she wanted to come with us to the talk, and she did. So she's really excited about her students. She loves London, and she's like willing to talk about the class with you like at any time. And also, I took Analyzing and Exploring the Global City with Dan Frost, and we were their first students ever because they had just finished their PhD. They're phenomenal. They take feedback amazingly well. And I highly recommend that class. It's definitely a harder one, lots of reading, but they're really excited and they're a great professor as well. And they're a London native, so they have lots of tips.
Great. Esme, did you want to add? I saw you raising your hand too.
No, I was just going to say that I was like looking at the classes and I got excited like looking like similar classes that I already took and like wondering the same professors. But I was just going to say that Understanding Modern Britain was also one of my favorite classes ever. And it was like really funny because I remember that was not my first option. I think museum, like exploring London museums was my first option. And because of schedule, I was moved to Understanding Modern Britain. And I was like, oh my God, it's not what I like wanted. And then that ended up like being my favorite class ever. Especially because of the field trips and my professor was the funniest guy. And like as Len said, it's like also that they're overqualified, like he knew everything. And I'm like, that's actually crazy. And also because he took us to the parliament, like literally when they have like the meetings of like the parliament with the king and like we were there. So I was laughing about like land of overqualified and like us on a random Tuesday in the parliament, like next to like where the king like sits. It was just like crazy.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of great classes. They do get you into a lot of different unique places that you probably wouldn't go if you were just a tourist. But really that is the heart of this program, is really using that London as your classroom, really getting that hands-on experience. A lot of the courses do fulfill some of those general education requirements, maybe some intros to certain majors, so you can really still stay on track in your degree. So you are making degree progress that way. And when it comes time to register, just keep in mind we do a special London registration, so it's separate from what they do for campus. So there's a lot of things that go into that, but you'd work very closely with me, and I'd help you with that process, prepare you, as well as like let you know what you ended up getting. If you don't always get your first choice, but we do our best to try to give some of the choices that you want to do. So if you have any questions about the classes or registration process, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, and shift gears a little bit and talk about another popular topic, which is the housing in London. So where will you live? So we talked about where you're going to take classes, and now we're going to just talk a little bit about the housing. So the housing for our students is a fantastic location in right across from Camden Market, for those of you that have been to London before. It's called the Stay Club Camden. It's an international residence hall. Students are placed in double rooms, and you'd be living with another Skidmore student. The other students in the hall could be other internationals, other British, other study abroad students, but your roommate will be another Skidmore student. And each room is like kind of like a small efficiency where you have a shared kitchenette, there's a private bathroom that you share with your roommate, and then some shared space there. That's kind of what you're looking at. We do provide a partial meal plan, which is going to be breakfast Monday through Friday, and then dinners Sunday through Thursday. So that's a change we're making for next year instead of Monday through Friday. And then you do get a stipend, a weekly stipend of about £100 that's intended to help cover those meals, those lunches that aren't provided during the week, and those weekend meals as well. The program also includes a local transportation pass, so you can easily get from the housing to the program center and kind of anywhere beyond in zones 1 or 2, in London. So it's a really well networked buses, the tube or the subway, overland trains. You kind of can have everything right at your fingertips. So I was hoping that I could have a few of the panelists just kind of maybe describe like what your room was like in the Stay Club, and then, or maybe like what you thought was some of the best aspects about living in the building. All right, go ahead, Esme.
I love living in like my room. I miss a lot of living in State Club, honestly. I can see Len's face, Len's face when you show the image, because like I think we kind of fell in love. I think one of my favorite aspects of living in the State Club is that you kind of meet new people as well, especially because there's other international students and maybe other programs, other universities that come and live there. So we have like time to chat with others and make friends. Especially also because of like the rooms, even though it's like a double, we also have like a kitchen and like bathroom and sort of that. So it felt like independence, like living like quite independently from other things, comparing to like living in a single here at Skidmore. Also, because when we were like sharing like breakfast and like dinner, it felt like a family dinner. Um, and I don't know, I think it's like sort of like union and like family of like leaving everybody in the Stay Club. And sometimes you will have like your neighbor will be another Skidmore student, and like all like getting ready to go to see a Kappa in the breakfast, like running to catch the tube. I think those are like kind of my favorite memories as well.
I definitely want to echo that. Like, your room in Stay Club is probably going to be smaller than you're expecting, but honestly, it works a lot in your favor, strangely, because you um like I guess budget where you are in a different way, sort of because of it. Like I pretty much only slept in my room. I would go to like a public library or a park or just stay at CEA Kappa to study. And like I'd always be out and about doing things. For meals, like a lot of the time me and my friends would maybe cook in our like separate dorm rooms, and then I'll bring it like downstairs into the lobby to eat all together like on the big tables. So the small room is like going to feel very cozy, but also if you really just embrace it and learn to use all the other spaces available to you, it's it almost kind of feels like a plus because you're able to like socialize in such different ways.
I actually lived with Kamari in London, and we live together now, and we're living together next year, so the random roommate works, I promise. Um, the location is unbelievable. It's so close to the tube. The buses are right outside the door. Like it really doesn't get better than that. Take advantage of the unlimited Oyster card. It's so nice. And I have a friend on my crew team who is from London, and when I told him that we have unlimited Oyster cards, he was like, "What the heck? That's so crazy. Like it's such a luxury." Um, I agree with Len about like the room. I mean, honestly, our room was a little bit bigger than I expected. Because we had like a little foyer area, and then we had one area, and then we had our kitchen and beds. But the bunk beds are great. They're really like I'm a little bit nostalgic of them now. Um, and it's really safe. The food is great. The people that work at the front desks and that work in the kitchen are amazing. And and we also my group also did the potluck of every Saturday. We all would bring a dish down to the basement, and we that was a suggestion from Len before we left, and we did that, and it was great. And I agree, like the small room keeps you out, like studying downstairs at State Club or going to the British Library or really going anywhere. Is great. And it forces to keep your room nice and tidy. So yeah.
Great. So hopefully that just gives you kind of quick idea of what you can expect. Also keep in mind, with that like unlimited transportation pass for zones 1 and 2, the Oyster card, you will be using that all the time because there is a commute between where you live and where you're taking classes. So it is about 40 minutes door to door, give or take. So that is something that I think is very different from campus. But a lot of students end up really kind of liking to have that. They build it into their day, becomes part of, what it's like to live in a big city and kind of experience that. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. All right, so let's go on to talking about admissions and finances. So Gabby already kind of talked about our current enrollment numbers, but Gabby, do you want to talk a little bit more about the admissions process?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are on this Zoom, you have been admitted to the London program. You should have received an email kind of talking about your acceptance to the program. And then once you enroll, you'll get a welcome email from Kendra, kind of with next steps, what you can do now. So just kind of take a look at your email. But students, you must be 18 by the time the program starts. If you've been admitted to the program, that's a check off your list. So you are all good there. So if you joined a little bit later, you weren't here right at the beginning. I did mention our current enrollment where we're at. So again, we have 36 spots for the London program. When I checked at 7, we were currently at 25. So we have 11 spots still available. Please feel free to keep in touch with me throughout the month of April if you're kind of curious where we're at with enrollment. I'd be happy to kind of give you an idea with where we're currently at. We definitely will probably start filling up, I would say probably mid to late April, just as we get closer to that May 1st enrollment deadline. So please feel free to keep in touch with me. And then quick note on financial aid. If you did receive a financial aid package from us, you can use most of your financial aid package toward the London program. What I would highly suggest though is just get in touch with our financial aid office, just to be sure, just to speak with one of our financial aid officers directly, just to see if there will be any changes to your financial aid package. But again, you will be able to use most of that package towards your time in London.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit more, you're still billed through the bursar for the semester. You're paying that regular comprehensive fee for the semester in London. And like Gabby said, you'd be able to use your financial aid package towards the semester in London, but there's always going to be extra costs compared to if you were going to come to campus. So things that you have to pay in addition to what you pay to Skidmore would be things like your flight. So we do a group flight through a travel agent, but students are responsible for paying that direct to the travel agent. Any passport and visa requirements. So most students don't need to apply for a UK visa before they go, but there are some students that may need that. And then there's also a new travel authorization, electronic travel authorization that every student's going to have to do. So that's something that our office, like my office, will help guide you through. Other things are just kind of, your supplies, your cell phone, and then just general cost of living. Obviously, London is one of the most expensive cities in the world, so there will be a difference. It will be more expensive than if you were coming to Saratoga. So just kind of keep all those things in mind when you are making your decision. But as you've heard from some of the panelists already, there are ways to kind of make the most of your time in London. So a lot of things are included with the program, that transportation pass, a lot of different excursions out into London. There's a lot of free things to do in the city. There's a lot of ways you can kind of have those potlucks and kind of stretch the partial meal plan as well. So a lot of great ways to make it a reality.
Yeah, I do see just a couple questions in the Q&A that I'll answer live. One being, how do you reserve a spot? Are you guaranteed one of the 11 spots remaining? To reserve that spot, you must enroll in the London program. And how you would do that is through your portal. So you'd log into your portal when you are going to enroll in Skidmore. Again, you have the option of either London or Saratoga Springs. If you do choose to enroll in London, we do ask that, you're committing to the London program at that point. So just, be sure that London is the right fit for you. If you still have further questions, definitely just get in touch with Kendra. And then the other question is, does the program always fill up or no? No, the program does not always fill up. I would say it looks a little different every year. But again, I encourage you to just keep in touch with me to kind of see where we're at with enrollment if you have questions about that.
Great. All right. And so we've talked a lot about what it's like in London, but one of the biggest questions that we get is what is it going to be like for students when they come back to campus in the spring? So London first year experience is a fall only program. Spring semester, everyone comes back to campus. So usually campus looks like this, so pretty snowy. But it can be a transition coming back, similar to the transition that you have at the start of the fall semester as you're getting used to a new place. But I think it's always helpful to hear from the panel, the students that have already lived that experience or going through that now about what it was like coming back after a semester in London and any tips or advice that they have for students to make the most of that experience. All right. Len, can I put you on the spot on that one?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I am this year's London peer mentor, one of our peer mentors, which basically acts as like an on-campus go-to resource, especially socially. So basically, it's usually an upperclassman or someone who's done the London program before, and I would say that we are, as London peer mentors, kind of that first go-to resource because we spent a little bit more time on campus and we're able to really have that like a better knowledge from our training of the different resources that you could access. And that goes for when the London students return to campus and also when the London students are abroad. So like they have our numbers, we're involved, the peer mentors are involved in their orientation process. And so they're like the London FYE students are able to contact us with questions pretty much whenever, and we're able to kind of connect them with the right resources and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's kind of the role of the peer mentor in that process.
Yeah, so there is a lot of support as students are coming back to campus. So not only do you have the full campus support, so all the offices and things that are available on a regular basis, but the first year experience and the off-campus study, we do a lot to try to support students. So that peer mentor program that Len was talking about is something that I think really helps just to kind of have a point person, have different events, activities planned that are designed to help you kind of integrate back into campus. Esme?
Yeah, when I came back, actually, it felt like I was never gone. Because everybody was so welcoming. Literally my first class, um, also because you need to think that there's other freshmen that also are taking that class for the first time, and not even just freshmen, but like sophomores and juniors and seniors sometimes. And you get to like meet people, and like then you tell like, oh, I went to London, or like, oh, that's so cool, and then like we're asking you questions about how it was. Also for me as an international student, like I was like scared of, since I didn't have like this international orientation week that freshmen do have, like for international students when they're in Skidmore. I was like scared of not meeting other international students and but like literally my first day of Skidmore, like everybody was like, oh, nice to meet you, and like being so welcoming. And also my professors, like they're also super like welcoming. So I think the transition from a big city to Saratoga can be hard, especially because like you're used to like move from Camden Market like to CA Kappa and this like commute every single day, like transition to walk 5 minutes from your room to class can feel different, as well as like like being in a big city and like me like going with my roomie all the time to the library and like new places and museums and stuff. It feels like, of course, different. But as I said, there's also other things that you could do, like here in spring. So I got to meet like downtown Saratoga, and also like meet the campus. And like when we came back, I was like, oh, this is like so much bigger than I was expecting, like Skidmore. Um, so I think it's definitely a transition there, and it's like different for everybody. Maybe you're like used to like small town, and it doesn't feel like that different. But like if you always lived in a city and then you move to Saratoga, it could be like a shock. Um, but there's a lot of resources. Like the first week that I came back, like there was like so many activities, so many events, so many new people to meet, and like all of them super welcoming that it felt like kind of overwhelmed. But I think it feels like, there's always be someone here, as Len said, like to support you if you feel like you're kind of disoriented. But it will not feel like that, especially if you have a group of friends from London. I remember that when we came back, like Len and I and like the rest of the 30 people from London, like sitting together in the same table in D Hall. So I think it's great to experience like both of the worlds in London and in here, especially because, as I said before, is a other opportunity to learn people, like to meet people and to like learn new things.
My coming home experience was a little bit different, because I rode in high school. I'm a coxswain, and I kind of launched myself into rowing and all of those kinds of things. So as my coach put it, it was very nice to have 50 immediate friends. And what was really amazing for me was there is a junior on the team who was also a London student who did exactly the same as me, and she's amazing. I love her. I look up to her so much. And so my advice to like coming back to campus, it's like Len and Abraham are my peer mentors, told us like over and over again, like join a club, like really join a club. And the advice that I had gotten going into college was like your first semester, like pick something like a club, like a really high dedication club that you're really gonna like get into. And that helped me a lot, like make a lot of new friends on campus. And now on like yesterday I had lunch with my teammate, but also like all of her friends, and I've like become friends with her friends, and like it's a really great way to meet so many people and also get upperclassmen mentors who are really great, and all of that. And also you'll meet people in your classes. And I'm taking an art history class, which is my major, and there's a bunch of other freshmen who are art history majors, and we've all become friends. And it's like a great, like it happens a lot easier than you think it will. So it's great.
To add on to what Izzy said, I agree with like dedicating yourself to one club. I joined intramural soccer. I found that very nice because I was able to connect with people who had similar passions as mine. Additionally, I recommend um, finding classes where you talk to people a lot. I'm taking a Spanish class, so of course we have to talk to each other, and that's how you get to know more people and make friends. Same thing with chemistry, where we do a bunch of group projects, so that's another way to kind of branch out, find new people. And then speaking about chemistry, I would say if you're doing STEM, anything STEM related, you won't feel like you're left behind. I'm doing pre-health and I don't really feel left behind. You'll still take your prerequisites, but don't feel like London will kind of hinder your ability to major in what you want to.
Okay. Great. Thanks for all those bits of advice. I mean, I definitely think, like everyone said, it is a transition. It does take time getting used to it. But like getting involved, taking classes that you're interested in, you have a lot more options when you come back to campus. So, remembering all the things that you're learning about Skidmore, you can kind of get excited for that coming back to campus. And so, and for some London students, you know, London is really just the first of their travel experiences through Skidmore. So many of our London first years will choose to study abroad again, you know, later on, sometimes sophomore or short-term program like a travel seminar, sometimes junior year, or sometimes even as a senior. So it's definitely a possibility to study abroad for a second time. All right, so I think that is kind of all of the big areas to cover, and now we'll have time to answer some more questions. Gabby, is there still a lot happening in the chat?
There sure is. So I'm seeing, I think a big question for a lot of people is when you return to campus, what does the housing situation look like?
Okay. Izzy, do you want to answer that? Or are you just
Oh
waving?
no, I just like gestured to behind me. You're
Oh,
not
okay, yes.
like you'll I mean I live with Kamari. We decided to live together again because we got along really well in London. And you'll get a suite mate. You'll get your suite mates just like every other freshman, and your suite mates will be really excited to meet you. And you will it's a little weird because you're all very used to living together in London. And you're spread out on campus. So that's a little bit different. But besides that, you'll live on campus. Everything's a 5-minute walk. Your friends are never too far. And it like really doesn't feel like I missed first semester, like especially just like walking in my suite. It's very easy transition.
And just to add, I see some people in the Q&A that are like maybe concerned about the possibility of like where that room comes from, I guess in a way. But on campus at Skidmore, the spring semester is usually when upperclassmen go abroad. And so a lot of the time, the London students end up like moving into their vacated rooms, if that makes sense. So there's never a worry for us if like we won't get a dorm room, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like also like I think when we were about to come back, we got like an email saying about like if we want to keep the same roommates that we had in London. And I think the roommate matching was really well because most of like well, for example like Len kept like rooming with my friend Lee and like differently. Same with my other friends. My roommate and I is my best friend. We're actually like having an apartment next semester, but we kind of took advantage of like having a single room because we just wanted, you know, to take advantage. Even love we love each other. We were in the same resident hall, which is dramatic. But I think you will receive an email saying if you want to keep living with your roommate. And if so, then they would put you in a double. Um, as Easy said, it will be spread out, sort of like the rooms, because also as Len said, a lot of seniors like live like campus for studying abroad during spring semester. So there's like rooms available. And they will like put you in the rooms that are available. So I remember that when we came back, there is like most of my friends, we were in the same residence hall, which was Weeking Hall, but in like different rooms, like single rooms. So it will depend if you choose to live alone in a single, if there's like singles available, of course, and if you want to keep your roommate, and then they will put you in a double. But if there's nothing to worry about that there's like enough rooms or not, because there's always rooms available, especially for emergencies and everything. Like Skidmore will get in charge of having rooms available, so do not worry about that.
So Res Life does a really nice job. They'll collect your information and they'll assign you to the rooms that are available. Most London students choose to live with another Londoner, but it doesn't necessarily have to be your London roommate. So there is some flexibility with that. But sometimes the roommate matching works. So that's great to hear. Other questions?
Just one that I want to clarify. I've been getting a couple questions from students, whether or not, you know, if they've been confirmed for London or not. If you went into your portal and you replied to your offer of admission and you checked London, you are enrolled. Also, as long as you paid your deposit or if that's waived, you are good to go for London. You also should have received a welcome email that would say like your name and then welcome to the first year experience in London. You would have received that email coming from Kendra once you're enrolled. If you're still unsure, you can reach out to me just to double check.
Gabby, just to kind of add to that, I don't think any of the emails have gone out to regular decision students.
You are
Only
yes.
early decision 1 and 2 have gotten that email from me. But regular decisions, because that's just happening, I'm not fast enough. So that hasn't happened yet.
Yes. Yep. Thank you, Kendra, for that. So again, if you're ED 1 and 2, you should have gotten that email, that welcome email. But if you want to double check, please feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, and reach out to Gabby because I don't know yet. So other questions?
Are there still spots left for regular decision admits? Yes. So we still have 11 spots available for the program.
There's 2 questions in the Q&A. One is, can students request a single room with shared kitchen and bathroom? I don't think, well, I think we're always paired with someone, like to have a double, unless like something happens and like you have to have a single, but maybe Kendra knows better if like something like that happened. But
Yeah, so first year students usually can't request a single unless they have a housing accommodation, which requires them to live like in a single. And so that you would go through and like submit documentation for that. However, sometimes when Res Life goes to do those placements, they place students where there's space available, and sometimes it just happens that they're singles. So that's not a guarantee. Most of the time we try to place our London students in doubles, but it does vary year to year. The other part of that question, I think was like with a shared bathroom and a shared kitchen. Sometimes you're in a more of like a suite style where there's like 3 or 4 rooms that kind of share a small like hallway, and they're like a shared bathroom among those. But there wouldn't be a shared kitchen unless you're living in the apartments. That's typically something that you would do sophomore, junior, or senior year, but not in the residence hall. There might be a central area on your floor that maybe has like some type of kitchen, but it's not like having like a shared kitchen or your own private kitchenette. Esme or Sadie, do you want to add to
I
those
just
things?
wonder if the question was about the state club.
Oh, it was about the state club. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because I think that question was like for a while there, I think.
Okay.
So, but also I think if someone has a special accommodation, maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess there would be for a single like option, but I don't know.
Let me answer that question again then. For London, for London, we don't place students in doubles unless they have like a housing accommodation. So you should be planning to live in, or don't place you be living in a double, no singles in London. The only time that happens is if you have like a medical accommodation that gets approved by campus. If there is an odd number of students, so we do like then one person might be in a single, with the caveat that like if we have to move somebody out of a different room, they might get placed with a student. So there aren't really any true singles in London. But if you have questions about the housing in London and kind of what that would look like, you definitely should reach out to me and I can kind of go over the details with you. I see the other one about the calendar. Should I answer that one?
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, so when will the London FYE calendar be confirmed? So the dates that are on the website now, I know it says tentative, but the start and the end date are set. The break week, as far as I know, is set. So that is a difference between London and campus, is there is a fall break in London. So there's a week in October where you can travel, or you could stay in London if you want to. As far as the other things, we won't have the calendar for like what is happening on like for the Friday excursions or some of the weekend things until probably the start of the semester. So we usually encourage students not to make plans ahead of time, because there will be a few weekends where you will be traveling with the program. So there's usually one weekend trip to Edinburgh in Scotland. There's usually one day trip outside of London, and that varies depending on where the faculty want to go. And then there's a few other things that happen during the semester, like a theater visit. Sometimes there's group trips to different like London attractions or different museums that are all included with the program. So you should get more of like a comprehensive schedule at the start of the semester. If you're going to have family visit, that break week is a great time to have family visit, because you know you won't have class, although sometimes students like to use that week to travel. Usually the weekend after Thanksgiving is a good time, although it's towards the end of the semester. There's not usually things planned that weekend, although sometimes that changes as well. But if you really need to start planning, I would say just be in touch with me and I will try to give you as much information as I can. But even I don't know those dates yet. Hopefully, as we get into like the next few weeks and into the summer, we'll have more of that information. Any other questions? I just saw one come up. If you don't travel during the fall break, can you stay in the Stay Club? Yes, but there may not be the meal service during that week. So that I think it depends. And we do have a lot of students that'll travel for part of it and then be in London for the other part too. So, and some students that choose not to travel at all. There's enough in London to keep you busy.
Could I mention something about this as well?
Yeah.
Also, what a lot of students do is they leave that break kind of like available, because what ends up happening a lot of the time is you meet all of your London friends and then you all want to go on a trip together over the break. So like my year, that's what pretty much everyone did. They all got into their little London groups and then went to Copenhagen and like a tropical island or something. And so kind of leaving that week open gives you some freedom to travel to new places with your new friends.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Yeah, like leave also space to like hang out with your friends, because sometimes like London is such a like place that is like in the middle of every place that you could go. Like you can go either to like friends or like Italy or other places that you want to go. So you'll see, I remember like Len and everybody like 2 weeks before the break with the computer between like the CA Kappa like breaks that we have for class, like booking. And me and my roommate, my best friend, we went to like Italy, so we were like planning. So need space for that as well, as Len said.
Yeah, I would say that week, like my parents came to visit, so I didn't travel anywhere fancy, but it was really nice to like everything quieted down a little bit because like I had no social obligations, so it was just fully like dedicated, like showing off what I learned about the city, and then also like having my parents take me to places that I didn't want to spend my own money to go see, but I thought would be great to go together with them. So like we went out to dinner, we went to see a show, we like went to museums that I was like, I've always wanted to go here, but like I always had stuff to do, or like was gonna go eat dinner with my friends, or like stuff was going on, but the break was like nice to just like not have to plan anything for me and just be like, my parents are here, they're in charge now. I'm gonna show them around a little bit and then like go to my own bed back home, that like I don't have a roommate this week. Like and take as long a shower as I want. So it was really nice to like also have the break just be like quiet, relaxed time, visit with my parents, catch up, and then like snap back into like school again.
Right. Another question about the break, just roughly when is it? It's in October. So right now on the website, we have midterm break, the October 11th to the 19th. So that I think includes the weekends on